Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline, and my today's guest is Peter Sorgenfrei. And I'm so happy that he said yes. Good morning, and how are you doing?
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Caroline. I am doing very well. Spring is almost here in Copenhagen, so all's good.
Oh, I love it. And I'm so curious what you are going to say to us about inspiration. But first, I want to introduce you to the audience, of course. So, as you said, you are from Copenhagen in Denmark and you built 6 companies across 3 continents. You are a CEO and founder coach helping others build better companies. So, tell us more about what you are doing in your business life.
So I work one-on-one with founders and CEOs all over the world. Currently, I have clients in 7 countries. And essentially, I am their coach. They're confident, they're psychologist, their friend, they're kick in the pants, the guy who helps them manage the up and downs of building companies.
Wow, that's amazing. And what inspired you to become a coach?
I missed having somebody around like me when I was building companies. I missed having somebody who did not have an agenda, who was not biased in any way, who was just there for me and to talk to me about the challenges that I had, but somebody who also actually understood what it meant to be me in that role. And so that's what I do today. The people I work with know that with my background and with my personality, I can help them become better versions of themselves, and that's my business.
Wow, I love it. And what inspires you on a daily basis in general, I mean?
The people I work with, I guess, a lot of times, or people like you, I meet and talk to on podcasts. I get ideas, I get new ways of looking at things that I then bring into both my writing. I write a lot on LinkedIn. I record videos like this. So I just try to share all the inspiration that I get from others to a broader audience.
Wow, I love it. And do you have coaches or mentors for yourself?
I do actually, and I have in the past have had different people that I speak to professionally. One of the things that I do is you kind of have supervision when you do what I do. So if I meet somebody and they're talking about something that I'm not quite sure how to deal with, I can talk to somebody in a professional context without revealing any personal details, of course, but get input on how to handle it. Oftentimes, there are issues that I should not be dealing with or handling for my clients, so I refer them to, for example, a psychologist or a professional of some sort.
Oh, I see. I understand. And I love that you introduced the word. I love words in languages. So supervision, I
Mhm.
know that from the psychological background or in this area that it is used. And I love it. So thank you so much for sharing. And how do you inspire other people?
Well, hopefully by doing stuff like this, right? Hopefully by sharing my perspective on situations. As I said, I write every single day on LinkedIn. I have a couple of big newsletters. And what I try to do is to show people that it doesn't have to be difficult to go through life and build companies. You can do it and still have a good time and not, burn out. So that's how I try to inspire others.
Wow, I love it. What are your gifts and talents?
That's for others to judge. But I think one of the things that I'm good at is people. I understand human behavior and what motivates people and what fears they might have, and then maybe an ability to talk to them about it so that they see it's manageable.
Yes, I understand. And when you work with CEOs, are you working in their company and with their teams as well?
Sometimes it depends. I recently had a client that wanted to restructure the entire executive team. And so she helped me get to know them and help me to help her make decisions about that. Most of the time, it's just with the CEO or founder. And most of the time, it's done remotely because currently all my clients are not in Denmark. They
Yeah.
are in Mexico, the United States, Spain, Romania. So they're all over the world.
Oh, I love it. Yes, I see. You cannot go into the company and then to talk to the people directly.
No,
Yes.
that sometimes that's a little bit difficult.
Mhm. That's true. And what are your goals for 2024? Do you set goals or intentions?
That's a good question. I don't really set goals. I think, I'd like to help more people than I helped people last year. That's kind of my goal, if you will. But what does that mean? Does that mean having more people read my stuff? Yes. Does that mean having more clients? Not necessarily, because I think there is a limited capacity to what I can do because it's a fairly intense process that I use. And I don't want to scale it. I don't want to build a coaching company with other coaches. I just want to be me doing this thing. Intentions, have a good time. I mean, I've done these 6 companies. A lot of them were fun. A lot of them were not so much fun. So my intention is just to have a good time with what I'm doing, working with great people, and hopefully they will experience that.
Oh, wow, that's so great. Thank you so much for sharing. And what would be your advice if someone wants to start their company from scratch? That means from zero on?
A lot of people have that aspiration, and I think that's wonderful. I think you need to think about what it means to start a company, right? It has emotional implications, it has financial implications. So, first things first, make sure that the idea you have is something that you're truly passionate about. It doesn't matter if somebody else is doing it, that's fine. But make sure that it's something you can spend a lot of your time thinking about and working on. Number two, I would try to find somebody to do it with. I
Mm.
would try to find a co founder. It doesn't have to be a friend. Maybe it's actually best if it's not your friend, but find somebody that you can go through this journey with together. And then number three, what I tell people is it will take longer and be more difficult and more painful than you can imagine. And that's okay. You just have to be ready for it. So, if you're thinking about starting your company, those are the 3 things that I would advise you to take into account.
Oh, yes, thank you so much. And did you have a co-founder? Did you have
I
friends?
didn't. A couple of times I did not have a co-founder. The first time I didn't have a co-founder, that one went well. So um, I think it depends on the situation. A couple of the companies, I did it with somebody who was very technical and they had an invention, they had an idea, but they needed a CEO and essentially a front man. And I became that person. Um, in other cases, it was just I had an idea. It didn't take a lot of capital or a lot of sort of physical work to get it going, and so I just did it because it was faster than trying to find a co-founder to do it with. So it depends on the situation, but I would say in 80% of the cases, having a co-founder is a good idea.
Okay. Okay, I take this advice. Thank you so much. And how important is the idea of the mastermind?
I think it's a very important idea. We all get advice from people, right? Friends, acquaintances, colleagues, partners, whatever it is. But the difference with a mastermind is it's a group of people who collectively are working towards a goal. They might have individual businesses that they need to read objectives in, but they are still focused on the business. They're focused on building something, doing something. And I think the mastermind solves that more beautifully than, my partner saying, "Hey, honey, I think you should pull yourself together and do something." It's a different kind of accountability you actually have to another group of professional in a mastermind.
Yes, that's so true. And that leads me to my next question about networking. You also mentioned LinkedIn, and we met on LinkedIn. I
Mhm,
saw you have it's called XX now, X Twitter account.
mhm.
And I suppose you are on every social media platform that exists because you also work on your visibility. How important is networking and what is your approach?
So the funny thing is, I've actually never been very good at networking. Um, I'm an introvert by nature, so going to networking events has never been my thing. What's worked for me from a networking perspective is sharing my ideas. So, early on, I realized that I had a lot of ideas. And if I just shared those with the world, people who found those ideas interesting would come to me. And I didn't have to network. I didn't have to say, hey, please pay attention to me. They did it the other way around. So that worked for me. But what I see other people do when they try to network with me, for example, is they ask before they give. And that just doesn't work. You have to think of networking as a long-term game. So now you and I getting to know each other, Caroline, and then maybe, we're going to exchange some messages. We're going to release this. You're going to send me some articles, or I'm going to send you some stuff over the years. And then maybe in a couple of years, you're going to call me up and say, Peter, I really need your help with this. And at that point, I'm ready because, you haven't asked. If you showed up today and said, Peter, can you help me get an introduction to Obama? I'd be like, that's a little quick. But that happens.
Mm.
So I'd ask people to say, you know what? Make sure you give, 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 give. And then at some point after you've done it 10 times, then you ask. Then you're going to be successful in networking.
I didn't understand first when you said they ask first because, or what do you mean by ask and what are they asking for? Because I asked you too to have this interview, because so I asked people to do podcast interviews with me. And
But
what
that's
you,
different.
yeah, okay.
Because what you're doing is the reason I agree to do podcasts like these is because it gives me a platform to share my message with more people. So actually, you're giving me an opportunity to share what I want to share with the world, right?
Yes.
Um, if you'd said, Peter, we don't know each other, but can you introduce me to this person? Typically, I say, no, I'm not going to do that because I don't know you and I don't know what you want to do with this person. But if you sent me a note saying, Peter, I have this business problem. I could really use 5 minutes of your time. Would you mind jumping on a call with me? Depending on the situation, I might do that because I can give back to somebody who's maybe not as experienced as I am, or I can give you a pointer to another resource. I can help you out in some other way. So I think it's about balancing, wasting somebody's time and trying to give them something that they also find valuable.
Oh, yes, I love that very much, your analogy to the time. Always keep in mind if you are wasting someone's time or adding value, as we say, yeah, giving value. And
Mhm.
what you said about ideas, you share your ideas. And yesterday, so I agree with that. Okay, I would also always give and share my ideas. Yesterday, I came across, I was in a TikTok live, and the lady had a beautiful picture in the background. And I said, oh, I like it. Maybe I can implement this in my whatever, in my
Mhm.
TikTok live. And she said, that was my idea. You cannot use, I saw the point, but I said something like, I will use my own picture, but I take the idea of putting a picture in the background. Yeah, because I think ideas are universal or they are not belonging to someone. I don't know if you agree with that. Or
I think that's actually a very good point. Nothing is unique anymore. If you look at the big TikTok accounts or social media accounts or the successful companies, even everybody has either directly copied somebody else or imitated them in some way. I think where you and where everybody will see that they become successful is when they take that picture, that idea, and make it their own in some way. Because I don't really care about the picture. I care about what Caroline did with the picture. Um, and so that's the people who only copy and paste are not going to succeed. The people who are only using AI generated content are not going to succeed. The people who add their own personality and perspective will. And I think that's worked well for me over the years. Is folks know that when I write something, it's authentic. Um, and they may not like it. They may not agree with it. They may think my grammar is dumb. I don't really worry about that because I know that there's thousands of people who get value from it, and that's my objective.
oh, I love that very much. What you said about the 1,000 people. I know people who are, this saying when you say if only one person can benefit from it, then I reached my purpose or something like that. Yes, I love what you said. And I have one last question for you. And it is when people reach out to you after listening to this episode, and they will, and please reach out to Peter. He's amazing. And take a look at his LinkedIn posting, his newsletter. It's amazing. So do you have special offers and services for the inspired podcast community?
I wish I had put something clever together, but why don't we agree that if somebody gets in touch with me and they mention that they saw me on this or listened to this, then I'll figure out some special deal for them at that point.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. We did this in the beginning of the podcast. We said use the code inspired, that people, that we know that people are coming through this podcast episode to you.
Mhm.
And please reach out. And if you have, and thank you so much for that. And if you have a last message to our audience, that would be cool.
Just know that you're unique, and whatever you want to do in the world in the time that we're living in is possible if you put your mind to it. So just be you, basically. Don't try to be somebody else.
Oh, thank you so much for your time and see you in the next episode.